A very warm welcome to the new episode of Ink and Insights. यहाँ सबैलाई Ink and Insights को नयाँ विकली एपिसोडमा स्वागत गर्न चाहन्छु। यो Ink and Insights को हामीले 13औं एपिसोड सकिसक्यौँ। अब 14औं एपिसोडमा हामी प्रवेश गर्दैछौँ। हामीले Ink and Insights लाई एउटा यस्तो प्लेटफर्म बनाउने प्रयास गर्दैछौँ जहाँनिर नेपालका तन्नेरी पुस्ताहरू विभिन्न विधाका कला, साहित्य, सङ्गीत, सिनेमा आदि इत्यादि लाई हामीले सोकेस गर्नेछौँ। त्यस्तै हामीले चाहिँ संसारभरि छरिएर रहेका ग्लोबल थट लिडर्सहरू जसले विभिन्न विधाहरूमा त्यस्तै किसिमको इन्फ्लुएन्स गर्नुभएको छ, उहाँहरूलाई पनि हामीले यसमा स्पेस दिन्छौँ, उहाँहरूलाई हामीले यसमा निम्ता गर्छौँ र नेपालको नयाँ एन्टरप्रेन्योरहरूलाई विश्वव्यापी रूपमा थट लिडर्सहरूसँग यो स्पेसको माध्यमबाट जोड्ने प्रयत्नशील रहनेछौँ। यो क्रम जारी नै रहनेछ र यसै सिलसिलामा यो हप्ता पाकिस्तानका युवा तर ख्याति प्राप्त लेखक अवैस खान हाम्रो बिचमा हुनुहुन्छ। म उहाँलाई स्वागत गर्न चाहन्छु। अवैस, वेलकम टु द शो।
Thank you so much, Sameer. It's really nice to be here today, and this is my first time interacting with a person or someone in Nepal, a person who's interested in books and stuff. So yeah, it's great to be here.
So I was listening to your TEDx talk, and then you had mentioned something about your the rejection, a lot of rejection that you faced as you grew up as you were growing up as a writer. How did you manage to handle those rejection, Avesh?
I think the first step to being a writer is to understand that rejection will be a part of your life. Rejection happens to everyone, no matter what stage they're at with the writing. I initially began writing my novel in the company of strangers when I took a very good course in the UK. It was called the Faber Academy course. So it was where we basically I wrote my novel. And after I was done with the novel, I started submitting to agents, hoping that someone would take me on, but nobody did. And then I actually worked with an editor because I felt that maybe I should improve my craft and all of that. So even after that, a lot of agents still turned me down. There were a few people who asked for the full manuscript, but then Annette Croston was the first one to offer representation, and I just took it. And I haven't looked back since. That was in 2017, and I still have her as my agent.
Right. And your debut novel, In the Company of Strangers, received critical acclaim. Can you share the journey of bringing this story to life and its significance to you?
Well, within the company of strangers, it wasn't that hard to write it because most of it was based on observation, and I had spent a lot of time observing the high society of Pakistan and all of that. So in the company of strangers, it wasn't that hard to write. It's basically the story of 41-year-old Mona, who is married to a very rich, who has a very rich husband. She has a social life. She has friends. She has money and everything that one could dream of, but she is not happy, and she's stuck in an abusive marriage. And then there's
Right.
27-year-old Ali, who's an aspiring model in Lahore and very financially unstable and trying to make ends meet. And when their paths cross, Mona and Ali's, and that's when uh, sparks fly and the trajectory of their lives changes.
Right, right. So I remember that the concept, the work written by Tehmina Durrani during 90s, My Feudal Lord, in fact, kind of shook Pakistani society. And I can resonate some of the story on your work on the similar line. So, do you think that's still prevalent, or it's evolving right now, Pakistani society?
Pakistani society is very polarized, I think, that on one end of the spectrum, you have people who are educated and successful and, who have these amazing careers and stuff. And then on the other end, you have people who are extremely impoverished, who are not allowed to get an education, and that's true for the majority of Pakistan. So because of that, I think yes, we are getting better as a country. We are improving, and maybe the literacy rate is improving as well. But because of our because the population is rising at the same is increasing, I think that Pakistan still has a lot of issues that it needs to resolve before it becomes a first world country.
Right. So, what themes or messages do you aim to convey through your writing, and how do they reflect societal and cultural aspects, particularly in the context of Pakistan?
You see, I think it's a writer's duty to make sure that they talk about things that are difficult and they give voice to the voiceless, and if anyone because a lot of people in Pakistan sometimes feel that if you talk about these kind of things like honor killings or stuff, that you're portraying a very negative, negative phase. You're portraying a negative aspect of Pakistan. But I feel that
Hmm.
just because it's not their reality doesn't mean that it's not the reality of so many of Pakistanis. So I
Right.
feel that it's very important that we use literature and we use books as a means to enlighten people, inform people, and to be the catalyst for change. So I think in that respect, literature is very important.
And can you please describe your writing process? Do you have any specific rituals or routines that help you stay focused?
Well, you see, I think it depends on how inspired you are at any point. And but I like to work in cafes because I feel that I can't really work at home when I can't write at home or in my study because I just get very easily distracted. But when I'm in a cafe, I'm able to concentrate more. And if I am able to, I like to fly out of Pakistan. And whenever I'm in London, I spend more time there and finish my project or something. So that's always good.
Yeah. And your second novel, No Honor, how does it differ from the first one? What elements were different on that?
Well, no, honor was a vastly different experience because as a person who's was born and brought up in urban Pakistan, I had very little experience of rural Pakistan. So it took 3 years to write. I had to actually visit rural Pakistan and talk to the people there. And even then, because there was so much to unpack in No Honor that it had to be done sensitively, it had to be done right. It took 3 years to write. So yeah, my experience with In the Company of Strangers and No Honor was vastly different.
Right. And who are the writers that have influenced your thinking process inside Pakistan and beyond that?
You see, in Pakistan, I really admire the work of Faika Mansab. I think she's one of the best authors, writers that Pakistan has ever produced. And I remember,
In fact, Faika she came in my show last couple of weeks back. Yeah.
yes, I saw
Yeah.
that, and I'm very glad to see that Faika is getting the recognition she deserves because she is one of Pakistan's best or writers, if not the best. So
Mhm.
yeah, I do think I feel very I get I'm very inspired by how she works, and yeah, it's very great to see that this kind of talent exists in Pakistan. Apart from that, abroad, I think there's so many other. I mean, I love reading literary fiction. I love Donna Tartt's books and Amor Towles and so many other crime and thriller authors. So it's like inspiration is everywhere when it comes to
Right.
writing.
Right. And can you please tell us about your third novel, Someone Like Her?
Well, I can see that you've done your research, Sumit. So, yeah, someone like her just came out a few months ago, and this one is set between Pakistan and London, and it tackles themes of obsession and parental control, parental pressure, um, perseverance, courage, and abuse, and all of these kind of things. Themes that a lot of South Asians would be able to relate to, and it's the story of 27-year-old Aisha who lives in Multan. That's a very conservative city in Pakistan. And when she catches the eye of a very wealthy man in Multan, her parents want her to marry him, but she's already in love with someone, but they don't approve of that person. So when she rejects Raza, he resorts to unthinkable revenge, and because of that, Aisha moves to London and for a while to rebuild her life. And there she meets Kamil, who is an emotionally wounded man with demons of his own. And however, even though she's in London now, she's not really danger stalks her in London as well. So that's what someone like her is about. So if I say any more, I'll be giving out spoilers. So I'll not do that.
I'm sorry to be asking this, a lot of things that is yet to come.
Yeah.
So, Awais, are there any real life experiences or people that influence your characters or narratives in your works?
Well, you see, that's the thing. A lot when my debut novel first came out, In the Company of Strangers, a lot of people came up to me and asked me that who is this character based on, who's that character based on, and I'm like, they're based on everyone and nobody. It's like it's yes, observation is part of it, but most of it all, you create the character. I mean, the author creates the character, but it's a story that reveals the character. So in a way, the my characters are not really based on anyone at all, and yes, they are based on real life events. Like honor killings happen all the time in Pakistan, and yes, no honor was based on that act of honor killing. But because it's fiction, then you can take certain creative liberty, and obviously you dramatize it a little bit and all of that. So yeah, I think it draws on actual things that happen, but because it's fiction, you can get some creative liberty from.
And can you please describe some of your writing process? Do you have any specific rituals or routines that help you stay focused or inspired while you write?
Personally, I mean, I've been a lifelong I'm a lifelong reader. I've always read, so I feel that reading in itself really offers me a lot of perspective. But when it comes to writing, I can't really write much when I'm in when I'm in my study or at home. So I like to sit in cafes and write. It really opens my mind and opens, it inspires me a lot. So I like to sit in cafes and write. And if I can, I'd love to, fly out of Pakistan to some other country and, write there. So I do that all the time in London. So whenever I do go to London, I try to stay on for a little more time because then that time helps me write. So that's what I
Yeah.
do.
So, and also, how do you approach, character development, especially when portraying interpersonal dynamics?
Well, I think character is something that above all should be believable. It Character is something that the reader should be able to relate to, because the character is basically the window through which the reader is basically experiencing the story world. So it's I no matter the character might be good or it's bad or whatever. I think at above all it should be believable and what we call a three-dimensional character. So with a three-dimensional character, the thing is that even if you're writing a bad character, for example, uh, you need to show why that character is bad, like what happened in the past that made them behave this way. Now it's not a justification or anything. It's just the fact that you offer a little bit of perspective as to why this character is behaving this way. So I think
Mhm.
that's when characterization comes in. And like I said earlier, that we create the character in our head, like the author creates the character, but it's the story that ultimately reveals the character and the actions that character will perform and all of that stuff.
And in what ways do you think literature can bridge the cultural gaps or often insights into diverse experiences, particularly in the global context?
Well, like I said, that literature does transcend boundaries, so borders. Like for example, we have a ban in place, a trade ban in place between India and Pakistan at the moment. But even though we can't really travel or anything, the books and the trade includes books and stuff. But even then, if you have a Kindle or something, then you can easily
Yeah.
access those books. And so I do feel that books and literature, they transcend borders, and that's how they inform other people about cultures and about other countries. And hopefully, people see those people and those countries in a new light and understand a little bit about why people behave a certain way or why they act a certain way and all of that.
So, and as a Pakistani author, how do you perceive the role of literature in shaping conversation around societal issues, traditions, and cultural values, both within Pakistan and on international platform?
Yeah, I think literature plays a huge role in that because it is through literature that we can truly unpack our culture and our social issues and all of that. Like for example, Khalid Hosseini did it to such a excellent effect with his books, The Kite Runner, A Thousand Splendid Suns, and through his books, people understood about Afghanistan so much. And this is exactly what it means to be a writer, that you're able to inform and enlighten others about your country, about your culture, and about what's wrong with it, what's not so wrong with it. So it's kind of like you can offer a balanced perspective. A lot of people sometimes feel, especially in Pakistan, a lot of people feel that if I'm writing about social issues, I'm just showing a darker side to Pakistan or a bad side to
Mhm.
Pakistan. I don't think that's true. I think it's very important for writers to be the voice of the voiceless, and just because uh, uh, the elite or the more privileged part society of Pakistan live in a bubble, that doesn't mean that the other 90% are not living in poverty, or that they're not facing all those issues. So it's very
Right.
important to talk about that as well, and I think that literature is the perfect method to do that and to spread the word.
Right, right. So, and you also run this, you head this creative institute, right? So, how many people they generally join? What is the general process there?
Well, the Writing Institute I established in 2016 because I felt that even today, after all these years, we don't really have a creative writing. We don't have creative writing degree programs in the universities in Pakistan. We have very few courses in universities, and we don't really. Even today, the culture is that reading is an unnecessary thing, or just a very it's considered to be a lazy hobby of sorts. So
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to change that with the Writing Institute, and the problem I saw was that the courses abroad, like in the UK and US, they're so expensive because they're in pounds and
Mm-hmm.
dollars. A lot of
Yeah.
Pakistani cannot afford that. So, uh,
Right.
uh, let's say, for example, a course is for £2,000. That means about yeah, something like 8 lakh rupees.
Yeah.
So 800,000 rupees. Now, a common person cannot afford to pay that. So, because of that, I wanted to offer something to Pakistanis where they wouldn't have to pay, an arm and leg for it. So that's when I started the Writing Institute, and a lot of people criticized it. They were like, there's no scope for writing in Pakistan, and what are you doing? There's no talent as such. But you'd be surprised.
Right.
I mean, the talent is so immense in Pakistan, and ever since I started the Writing Institute, each one of my courses has been full. So there is
Wonderful.
immense talent, and people have so much. I mean, they're so talented, but the problem is that they don't have those avenues available in order to get published. So I do think that this is the one thing that needs to change in Pakistan, that there should be more avenues available.
Right. So, so a lot of young population these days are into writing in Pakistan right now.
Yes, I mean a lot of them, and we have, but it's not just young people. To be honest, a lot of my students are people in their 40s and 50s who have established their careers now, and what they want is that they've always wanted to write or to learn how to write, and now they're in the position to take courses and learn and maybe attempt a novel someday. So a lot of people in are in their 40s. Some people are in their 60s and 70s who've retired now, but want to do this activity to have something to do and to follow this passion that they have.
Do you have any suggestions for the new writers?
Well, my suggestion to any new writer would be that never give up, because this is such a cutthroat industry, and with you no matter which how popular you are or how established you are as a writer, you will always face rejection. So rejection is a part of this business. So try not to let it get to you. Have a thick skin and keep going, keep submitting, and keep trying, because sooner or later it will happen for you. So yeah, that would be my
And
advice.
right. So, and any beyond, creative pursuit that you follow? Do you have any other interest?
Well, I like to travel. I like to read, and I like to watch good television as well. So television series
Right.
and stuff. I'm not a very adventurous person in that. I mean, I don't. I'm not very much into outdoor activities as such. But yeah, apart from that, I do enjoy a good television series or stuff like that. So yeah.
Right. And are you, working on some of the other projects as well right now?
I'm actually writing. a sequel to In the Company of Strangers. So that's going to be published in October next year. So I'm very excited about that. So it's been really nice revisiting that world that I had left about 10 years ago. So yeah, it's nice to sort of do that, and I'm working on a couple of other projects as well, which I can't really talk about right now, but because they're still in process, but still in the works. But yeah, I think being a writer is to be constantly busy. You're constantly working on projects and hoping to get that big break and all of that. Yeah.
So do you write on the daily basis, Awais, or how do you do it? Do you take a break or?
You see, because I do other work as well, I can't devote all my entire day to writing, but I do try to write every day, like a couple of hours if I can manage. Usually, I can't manage a couple of hours even. So I would just probably write for 30, 35 minutes. Or but now because I'm actively working on a project, I'm trying to give it about 2 hours every day. So that's what I try to do, and I think that's the only way it works. That if you treat it like proper work, like a proper job, only
Yeah,
then are you able to finish your work on time and all of that stuff.
I can completely understand that. Awais, well, thank you so much for your time, brother. It was lovely talking with you, and it's real pleasure to have you on my show.
Well, it was really nice being here, Sumit, and being talking to you. And I had a great time myself. And like I said, it was the first time this is the first time I'm interacting with someone in Nepal. And the funny thing is that I did understand a bit of your language as well, even though my native language is Urdu and Saraiki. But Urdu is like
Right,
Hindi, basically. It's been very interchangeable. But I
right,
was able to catch a few things.
right, right. Good. All right. Thanks a lot, Awais.